TT1 moving his units up a little bit, although he is kind of stuck around this hole in the map there. And KiWiKaKKi is going to take out this pylon at the XelNaga tower. No reason to give his opponent any extra scouting information. And it looks like TT1 is in a better position with his army, although his building placement does restrict things a little bit. And KiWiKaKKi trying to move into this choke, and this is exactly what I was talking about. That choke just doing terrible things for KiWiKaKKi's army, and it looks like even with the stalkers, KiWiKaKKi is going to be forced back here, and he is going to be forced back. That Immortal especially doing tons of damage to the stalkers of KiWiKaKKi. And TT1 again using positioning, although as you notice KiWiKaKKi did pull back and he was able to get a little bit of a concave, but flanking units coming in for TT1, although KiWiKaKKi with the superior Colossus numbers is able to start pushing back his opponent, although he has lost all his supporting units more or less, just an Immortal supporting those Colossus. So as that Immortal does go down, it looks like it is, KiWiKaKKi is going to be forced back, as naked Colossus just by themselves are actually fairly weak units, although not against one Zealot. One Zealot not going to be able to do too much damage. Looks like TT1 is pursuing a little bit, but I don't think he's going to pursue too far, as he has to know that army is not going to be able to take whatever KiWiKaKKi has waiting for him. Some more stalkers joining up with KiWiKaKKi's forces there. And another Warp Prism drop from TT1. TT1 moving into the main base of KiWiKaKKi, able to do a little bit more damage. This Colossus is going to pop up here, and the rally point making it so it can attack those Zealots right away. So that's a problem that you run into now that the rally point has been changed from attack move just a regular move. That was a change that happened a while ago, but it still is affecting some players, having a little bit of an effect in this case. Looks like there was a little bit of a push to the natural from TT1, but KiWiKaKKi is going to be able to force back, probably going to be able to pick up this one Zealot. These Colossus is going in. Actually, he may be able to pick off all three Zealots. That'd be kind of a big loss at this point for TT1, as those are good at keeping the other units of your opponent at bay. Looks like both players in more or less a stalemate at this point, although TT1 with a few more, or not a few more, with one more Colossus at this point. Let's go back to the units tab here. So yeah, 3 Colossus, 4 Colossus now for KiWiKaKKi, and 4 as well for TT1, so players even in the Colossus count. And it looks like TT1 is moving into attack. Those Colossus caught a little bit out on their own, but it looks like again KiWiKaKKi with the good concave on the forces of TT1, although those rocks are preventing the Zealots from attacking. And it looks like even still TT1 going to be forced back a little bit, doing a little bit of Colossus micro. And the Colossuses for KiWiKaKKi are taking heavy damage from the Colossuses of TT1. Although TT1 forcing back KiWiKaKKi, I'm a little bit surprised, but those Colossus, 3 out of the 4, missing shields completely, so starting to take structure damage, and he may lose that Colossus. There's some reinforcements coming in from KiWiKaKKi to stop this advance. Zealots coming in to try to attack those Colossus, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, so TT1 still forcing his opponent back there. It looks like KiWiKaKKi retreating to the high ground, and he does have 5 Colossus. 3 of those are heavily damaged, so 1 goes down. And it looks like TT1 is going to be able to push back KiWiKaKKi. All those Colossus going down. KiWiKaKKi with no Colossus right now, but TT1 is losing a lot of his Colossus as well. Zealots coming in to finish off this last one. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it, but the stalkers from TT1 are going to be able to save that last Colossus. Oh, that Colossus getting away with 18 hit points. A little bit of a lucky move there. So both players just back and forth at this point, although I would say TT1 is at a slight advantage still with that worker count, doing a little bit of attack, able to snipe off that Colossus. Excellent little surgical strike from KiWiKaKKi, although those units are in trouble. The Colossus coming to back them up, and TT1 is forced to fall back. Meanwhile, if we go into the production queue, it looks like 2 Colossus is coming out, both players going for a double robo all the way. Sorry about that. And yeah, so double robo pumping out more of those Colossus, and it seems like this is pretty standard for Protoss versus Protoss these days, is that it does turn into these mass Colossus versus Colossus battles, which kind of reminds me a little bit of the stagnation that TVT saw for a little while. Everyone was just going tank Viking. That is finally starting to break, so we're going to have to see if PvP changes in the future. TT1 doing some long distance mining from the gold. That's going to give him a little bit of an income boost, as you can see here. TT1 doing a good job with map control. Looks like this pylon here going to alert KiWiKaKKi of any drops in the future. Meanwhile, at the natural of KiWiKaKKi, we do have some Colossus out again. So both players at this point kind of regrouping, building the numbers, and we do have a third base being taken by KiWiKaKKi. He is a little bit behind on the economy. As you can see, his first base mined out completely, so really only mining off of one base. And while the same is true for TTOne, he has chosen to do some long distance mining from the gold, which is keeping him afloat economically, although he really does need to get that third base up. Looks like he is planning to attack now. And he does, I wonder if he does know about this third base. I would guess he probably has to. Yeah, moving in to take that third base of KiWiKaKKi, and that Nexus is falling very quickly. Is he going to be able to snipe this Nexus before KiWiKaKKi can react? Looks like he might be able to. That Nexus getting so low. Units for KiWiKaKKi coming in to defend. Oh, that Nexus with 22 hit points left, so KiWiKaKKi barely able to save his Nexus there. Great save from KiWiKaKKi. Able to push back TTOne now, although the unit's getting a little bit out of position for KiWiKaKKi. Those Colossuses on their own again are going to have to fall back with those Stalkers attacking him. One Colossus does go down, and it looks like, yeah, KiWiKaKKi in big trouble getting his Colossus stuck out on their own. And TTOne, I believe, is going to be able to just come in and take out this Nexus. Yeah, this Nexus will go down for pretty much one shot from the Colossus. There it goes. So although a valiant effort of defense coming from KiWiKaKKi, it just wasn't enough. TTOne was able to take that down. Warp Prism in the meantime moving in for TTOne, so TTOne hitting on both fronts, having to pull back before he can warp any units in that Stalker. It may be able to take out that Warp Prism. No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like he is going to get away. KiWiKaKKi still pumping out units. In the meantime, KiWiKaKKi sending some Zealots across to investigate for other bases of TTOne, but TTOne opting not to expand again, just doing some more long distance mining from this gold expansion, so a little bit of an interesting choice there. Colossus moving across from from KiWiKaKKi, sorry about that, by themselves. I'm not sure if that's a good decision. Colossus, of course, great when they're being supported by Stalkers or Zealots, but not so good on their own. Looks like he is planning on pursuing, though, this course of action. 6 Colossus out now for KiWiKaKKi. Let's look at the units tab. So 7 Colossus actually out for KiWiKaKKi, 7 as well for TTOne. So the Colossus count still the same. In the meantime, Nexus coming in again from KiWiKaKKi. Looks like KiWiKaKKi possibly thinking of setting up another expansion here, although this pylon from TTOne is going to prevent that. TTOne moving down the map here with his army. He does have those supporting Stalkers, which is going to give him a big advantage, although these names are so hard to keep track of for some reason for me today. KiWiKaKKi getting a nice concave setup in advantage, although having to break that down since his opponent didn't move in at that point. And the army for TTOne looking very strong right now. Let's go to the army tab. Yeah, TTOne significantly ahead right now, 158 over 132. So I think he is planning on just pushing in to end the game, although no, it looks like he is planning on taking that third base again. In a lot of these longer games on XelNaga Caverns, it really comes down to these third bases. War of the Worlds going on here between the Colossus, although TTOne, with all those Stalkers, is going to be able to force back KiWiKaKKi fairly easily. That second Nexus is probably going to go down fairly soon, although KiWiKaKKi with a large amount of Colossus may be able to push his opponent back a little bit, but I think the battle is still going in the favor of TTOne. Colossus is starting to go down for both players. Yeah, all the Colossus very low for KiWiKaKKi. And it looks like this is probably going to be GG fairly soon, although TTOne losing almost all his Colossus is down to 3. KiWiKaKKi warping in some units, but I don't think it's going to be enough. TTOne more or less able to do as he pleases at this third base of KiWiKaKKi, and this is, of course, KiWiKaKKi's only mining base. Two Stalkers and 1 Colossus coming in to try to defend, but it's just not going to be enough. TTOne able to keep the economy down for KiWiKaKKi. And unless KiWiKaKKi is able to mount some sort of miracle comeback, I think this is going to be the end of the game fairly soon. These Colossus is being microed in to try to do a little bit of damage. These Colossus for TTOne have taken some hits, but overall are still very strong. And here's that pylon coming in very handy in the late game for TTOne, able to warp in some more supporting Stalkers. And so, wow, that pylon placed so early in the game is coming in huge at these last moments. And yeah, those 2 Colossus for KiWiKaKKi very heavily damaged. I don't think he's going to be able to come back from this. Really trying hard, sticking it out, never giving up, never surrendering, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. TTOne more or less has to just commit to an attack as that Colossus goes down. Last Colossus for KiWiKaKKi going down, and that is GG from KiWiKaKKi. So TTOne able to defeat KiWiKaKKi here on XelNaga Caverns with a good mix of harassment from the Warp Prism at the main and just being able to outproduce his opponent, doing some unorthodox long distance mining from the gold. So yeah, cool game there on XelNaga Caverns. If you liked my casting, please subscribe and tell your friends. Otherwise, keep playing StarCraft, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next cast.